change your heart, why we should read the Bible. The first thing is the heart alerts us that there's a problem when we feel frustrated. Whenever we feel frustrated, that's the heart letting us know there's a problem. I felt frustrated this week. I probably feel frustrated every day. Do you ever feel frustrated? Are you frustrated right now? Have you been frustrated when you woke up this morning? Frustration is that sense of, I wanted it to work out this way. It's not working out that way. And I don't know when it's going to work out that way. And I've been trying really hard to make sure it works out. I don't think a lot of us always understand that when we're frustrated, our heart is saying there is something wrong. Frustration is how it feels to live life without God. You may reach your goals. You may achieve a lot. We may end up getting a boyfriend, a girlfriend. We may end up making the team or getting a great score on the SAT or the ACT. We may end up getting into the college we want to get into, but there's that simmering frustration. It may be frustration with relationships. It may be frustration with family. It may be frustration with a challenge with our health, be it physical or mental. It may be frustration with our friends. But frustration sets in when the heart senses there's something wrong, when the heart feels that life is out of balance. And that's what life feels like when it's without God. Frustration, how it feels to live life without God. In Romans 7:15, I don't understand why I act the way I do. I don't do the good I want to do, and I do the evil I hate. I don't understand why. The heart is where we find the answers to our why questions. Why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? That answer's in the heart. Why did the rejection that girl, that guy, my parents, my friends, my teacher, my professor, why did that hurt so much? Why did not making that team or not being invited to that party or not being asked to go along with this potential group or that potential group that I want to be a part of in high school, why did that hurt so much? And the Bible says, I don't understand why. A lot of us, no, all of us struggle to understand why, and the why answers are in the heart. And when we feel frustration in any area, the heart is saying, there's something wrong, I need help. Now I'm going to tell you, you can listen to as much as you want about the Bible, you can engage in as much reading as you want to be engaged in, but if you don't find a friend in this room that you can talk to and that you can engage about, and then you can get on board this journey of saying, I've got to figure out how to understand my heart and how to change my heart for anything I want to be able to accomplish. For some of us in the room, we're like, hey, one day I want to be this, or one day I want to do that. It's going to come down to the heart. Have you ever been in this position where you're like, this is too hard, I want to quit? Well, trying to become a Christian or trying to live as a Christian, it can feel that hard because many times emotionally we haven't gone any further than 100 meters. Many times emotionally we haven't been more vulnerable than a little bit, and Christianity requires us to go all the way. And in Romans 7:15 and the passages around it, the verses around it, Paul is writing and saying, this is what it feels like to try to be a Christian. I feel like I don't understand why I do what I do. I don't do the good I want to do. I don't think anybody in here wants to do bad. I hope not. I don't think anybody in here wants to fail at anything. I don't think any of us want bad relationships. I don't think any of us want to do poorly in school. I don't think we wake up in the morning and say, hey, 3 things I want to accomplish today. I want to flunk some courses. I want to dabble in some pornography, and I want to lie about a couple of things. And I want to do that before 3 p.m. today. I don't think any of us do that. I don't think any of us go, I want to be alone my whole life. I don't want to ever date anybody ever. I just want to be alone. I don't think any of us set out to do that. I want to hurt my friends. I want to date, get married, and then get divorced. That's my plan. I think I can get it done in 5 years or less. I don't think anybody does that. I don't think any of us say, I want to lose so much weight it's unhealthy, or I want to gain so much weight it's unhealthy. I don't think we do that. And so we end up frustrated because it's hard to change. It's hard to even change and be the things we want to be. And there are 8 sources of frustration that we all experience. I chose the Message translation because it's easy to understand. You can go read it in other translations. It'll sound different, but it is the same. Galatians 5:19 in the Message, it's actually Galatians 5:19 through 21. It is obvious what kind of life develops out of trying to get your own way all the time. So let's just start there. Guess what? One of the most frustrating things in my life, well, you could guess this. One of the most frustrating things in my life is from 0 to 19, I had one plan: get my way. I was like, my parents have a role in my life. They pay for things. My friends have a role in my life. They cheer for me. My teachers have a role in my life. They affirm how smart I am. Everybody has a role in my life. And that's what it means to try to get our way all the time. It is obvious what kind of life develops out of trying to get your own way all the time. Repetitive, loveless, cheap sex. That's all one thing. Repetitive, loveless, cheap sex, meaning it's meaningless. A stinking accumulation of mental and emotional garbage. Frenzied and joyless grabs for happiness, trinket gods, magic show religion, paranoid loneliness, cutthroat competition, all-consuming yet never satisfied wants, a brutal temper, an impotence to love or be loved, divided homes and divided lives, small-minded and lopsided pursuits, the vicious habit of depersonalizing everyone into a rival, uncontrolled and uncontrollable addictions, ugly parodies of community. I could go on. This isn't the first time I've warned you. You know, if you use your freedom in this way, you will not inherit God's kingdom. Now let's take on two things here. Number one, there are a lot of people that consider themselves Christians and even teach who say we shouldn't talk about sin. And yet Paul writes this passage to a church of Christians. He's not writing this passage to people who don't go to church. He's actually writing this to people who do go to church, and he's saying, I've warned you before about getting into this stuff, and I'm going to warn you again. In other words, he's saying Christians are still doing this. And so if you think you're the one Jesus that isn't committing sins anymore, that's a mistake. But instead of seeing sin as this incredibly terrible thing, see it as the source of our frustration. And I said there are 8. Well, I picked out 8. I picked out my 8. Maybe you share in these 8. Let's take a look at the 8. Number 1, he says, trying to get our way all the time. That's selfish desires. He's saying the natural way we work, and this is all of us, the natural way we work when we wake up in the morning is we think about, guess who? Ourselves. I mean, it's pretty rare, and I try to be unselfish. I'll be honest. I try to be unselfish. But every morning I wake up, even though I try to be unselfish, I always seem to be at the top of my list. And so what he's saying is, look, our natural instinct is going to be to say, how can I get my way? Thought life, an accumulation of mental and emotional garbage. All kinds of stuff that we watch and listen to poisons our minds. Lack of self-control, frenzied and joyless grabs for happiness. We're running around in a frenzy. Have you ever felt that feeling that I've got to go somewhere, I got to do something? I got to have that. I need this. You see somebody else with something and you want it. He's saying you can get controlled by that where you're like in a frenzy. I need to go somewhere. I need to go. I looked at Snapchat and I saw my friends over here. I got to go over there. So-and-so's playing basketball. I got to go play basketball. Hey, they saw that movie when it opened on Friday. Why didn't I see that movie? And we start churning up inside. We look on the internet. We find out our friend, he got a new phone. I got to get a new phone. And we're just frenzied. We're running around trying to make ourselves happy. Ungrateful and unhappy, all-consuming yet never satisfied once. We're not just unhappy. We're ungrateful and unhappy. Understand, the Bible is telling us that we have all-consuming yet never satisfied once. If you're like me, you've done it. I remember one Christmas, my parents had bought me gifts, and I was 12. And after we got done opening them, I stood up and said, I don't like any of these gifts. I said that. And my mom said, if you don't sit down and like those gifts, I will make you like those gifts. That's what my mom told me. And so I kind of started, cuddling my socks. Distant and detached. Impotence to love or be loved. He's saying what happens when you live life without God is you have a hard time loving people. Oh boy, that was my big problem. I could get good grades, I could play sports, I could do all kinds of stuff, but I couldn't love people. I didn't know how to be that vulnerable. I didn't know how to be that expressive. I didn't know how to care. I had hardened myself so much, I didn't feel for people. And that's not because I'm a bad person. Well, I was kind of bad, but it's not because I'm a bad person. It's because I was an incapable person because I was trying to live life without God. Destructive relationships, divided homes and divided lives. He's saying you're gonna hurt your family and you're gonna hurt your friends because of the way you live. A lot of times when we're younger, we think our parents are our problem. Everybody thinks that. But what you find out once you leave home is you still have problems even though your parents aren't there. And suddenly you have to start facing the fact that I'm kind of a destructive relationship builder. I hurt people. Everybody does it because we don't know how to love yet. I think a lot of times we don't understand that when we live life without God, we can't even help it. We even sit there and go, I don't want to hurt this friend of mine, but we do it anyway. Envious relationships, the vicious habit of depersonalizing everyone into a rival. I think for a lot of us, we do this because we're envious in relationships. That person is smarter than me. That person is taller than me. That person, for me, when I was growing up, it was all the girls like that guy. And everybody's got a that guy. Every guy has a that guy. There's some that guys in this room. Like, why are the girls talking to him? Why are the girls always talking to him? Why don't the girls ever talk to me? And we start trying to dress. Well, that guy's wearing these kind of jeans. Maybe I'll get some of those jeans. Well, you can get those jeans, but you're still 5'3" and he's 6'5", and so it's going to be a problem. You know, this guy's throwing touchdowns and you're throwing paper airplanes. It's going to be a problem. You see what I'm saying? And we get envious. Ladies, you seem to enjoy that. There is no way that you don't have this problem too. I used to work out at a place that was in a mall, and you had to go through, I think it was Macy's, to get to it. And to get to it, you walk through the cosmetics section of Macy's. And so one time I was walking through the cosmetics section of Macy's to go to my workout place, you know, and I'm like, I'm not going to be looking around. I'm going here to work out. And so I saw these ladies looking in my direction and kind of like, and not in a good way, you know, kind of like, and I was like, uh-oh, you know, am I not supposed to be walking through Macy's Cosmetics? And as I walked further along, I kind of looked back because, you know, you want to check out, make sure they're not, you know, on you. And they weren't looking at me anymore. So I stopped and said, let me see what's going on, because I'd never seen this. And I turned, and they were looking at this lady who was all made up and getting made up. And you could tell there was some vicious habit of depersonalizing everyone around. They were mad. And as I began my sociological analysis, the lady getting made up seemed to be athletic looking and somewhat tall and in shape. And the other ladies looked a little different. And I went, I see what's going on here. And I think a lot of times women can even have more difficult times in relationships than men because of this reason. Now, men have difficulty in relationships because of all the other ones. But women can get in trouble on this one. And the last one, irresponsible. You misuse your freedom. You ever say, well, I should be able to do what I want and I can choose my own way. That's true, you can. But the Bible says that one of the things will end up frustrating you is when you use your freedom in a terrible way. These things are all about how it feels to have a life without God. This is not because you're not smart. This is not because you don't know the right people. This is not because you didn't go to the right college. And it isn't because I'm not smart. And it isn't because didn't go to the right college. It's because of my choices. And I'm going to tell you today that the frustrations we experience in our life are because of our choices. I was talking to someone the other day, and this individual was telling me about some people, you know, that I know. And he had heard it third party. He goes, well, so-and-so says that so-and-so and so-and-so don't get along. And I always find it interesting when people make judgments that people don't get along, but they don't tell the people that don't get along to go and talk to each other and to work it out. I think we have situations even in here in our relationships where we need to take a look at how much frustration do we have in our relationships. How much frustration do we have in our relationship with our family? How much frustration do we have in our relationships with each other? How much frustration do we have in school? And we need to, instead of blaming the people around us for our frustration, look at this list and say, maybe it's my choices, it's not the people around me. Maybe it's my choices, not my abilities or talent. Maybe it's my choices, not the school I go to or don't go to. Maybe it's my choices, not my appearance or my ability to elocute wonderful semantic words. Maybe it's just my choices. And when we get our choices on straight, our frustration goes away, and that's where faith comes in.